Then her husband sees him and bursts into tears. The room falls silent at the moment the baby cries, not the soft, delayed cry doctors worry about, but a loud, full-throated wail that fills every corner of the maternity ward. The nurse smiles, the doctor gives a nod, and Emily Parker, drenched in sweat and emotion, reaches her arms out instinctively. She had waited for this moment for 7 years. Miscarriages, hormone shots, IVF rounds, prayers whispered through sobs, all leading here. But as they place the newborn in her arms, the world tilts because the baby boy, her baby, has skin the color of deep bronze, soft black curls on his head, and rich dark eyes that don't match either parent. Emily blinks. The doctor hesitates, his gloved hands hovering. The nurse coughs gently, and Emily's husband Jonathan goes silent. They stare. Jonathan, white, blue-eyed, blonde, bearded, takes one step back from the bed. His lips part slightly, but no words come out. Emily looks up at him. He doesn't yell, he doesn't scream, but tears brim in his eyes. Then he turns and walks out the delivery room. Emily clutches the baby tighter, her whole body shaking. Micah, that was the name they had agreed on, Micah Elijah Parker. A name spoken with love for months, stitched on baby blankets, scribbled in journals, whispered during late-night nursery painting sessions. And now the world looks at her like she's a liar. The hours that follow are brutal. Jonathan's parents don't come to visit. Emily's best friend, who flew in from Boston, leaves early. A nurse who once called her honey now avoids eye contact. Rumors always spread faster than facts, and no one asks questions. They simply assume. Even Emily questions herself. Could there have been a mix-up? Had something happened she didn't understand? She begins mentally replaying every moment of her pregnancy like a crime scene, grasping for something that makes sense. But nothing explains it. She's never been unfaithful. She's never even wanted anyone else. Micah was her miracle, her joy, her impossible second chance at motherhood. But now he's also her undoing. That night, alone in her hospital bed, Emily cradles Micah and whispers, "You didn't do anything wrong, baby. I don't know what's happening, but I love you no matter what anyone says." Micah blinks slowly in her arms, yawning. His skin is warm, his breath steady. He doesn't need answers. He just needs love. The next morning, the door creaks open. Emily turns sharply, expecting a nurse, but it's Jonathan. His eyes are puffy, his hair disheveled. He looks like he hasn't slept at all. In his hand, he carries a folded envelope, and in the other, a new blue onesie. He walks slowly to her side, eyes fixed on the baby. "Can I hold him?" he asks. Emily hesitates, then nods. He gently takes Micah in his arms. For a long moment, he says nothing, then his voice cracks. "He looks like my grandfather." Emily stares. Jonathan sits down beside her, opens the envelope, and hands her a printed page. It's a DNA report, rushed through a private testing service the night before. "I needed to know," he says softly. "I couldn't sleep. I couldn't think. I didn't want to accuse you, but I was losing my mind." She nods slowly, still speechless. And it turns out, he continues, "He's mine." The world stops. Emily grabs the report and reads it line by line. Paternal match 99.9987%. Biological parent confirmed, Jonathan Parker. She looks at him in disbelief. But how? Jonathan exhales a long breath. "I called my aunt, the one in Georgia, the family historian. I told her about Micah and she went quiet. Then she told me something I'd never heard before." He looks down at Micah, voice low. "My great-grandfather was black back in the 1940s. Jonathan's great-grandfather married a white woman and passed as white to escape the segregationist South. The truth was buried, photos destroyed, birth certificates altered over generations. The family line was blended. But now, through the miracle of genes and the clarity of Micah's skin, the past has returned." Jonathan kisses Micah's forehead. "You brought the truth back." Emily wipes her tears. "You really believe me?" He looks at her as if she's the only person in the world. "I never stopped." Emily can't stop staring at the paper. DNA doesn't lie, and neither had she. For the first time in nearly 48 hours, the lump in her throat dissolves into something new, relief. She's not crazy, she's not a liar, and she hadn't imagined the bond they built during pregnancy. Micah truly was theirs. But what haunted her more than doubt was the silence, not just Jonathan's, but the silence of generations. They sit side by side on the hospital bed. Micah sleeps peacefully in Jonathan's arms, his tiny fingers curled into a fist over his father's shirt. Jonathan looks down, brushing the baby's cheek with the back of his finger. "I never knew," he says quietly. "Never suspected.
My whole
life, we were just white. That's what they told me. My grandfather passed away when I was 8. I don't remember much. He was always distant, kept to himself." Emily places her hand on his. "Your aunt told you everything?" He nods. "The family hid it. Said it was dangerous back then, that they were scared. He moved up north, changed his name, and just blended in and started over." A pause. Micah brought the truth back. They returned home 3 days later, but the whispers hadn't stopped. Neighbors who once smiled now looked confused. A few co-workers reached out with polite curiosity, but there were still glances at the grocery store, comments under photos online, strangers questioning the story. Yet Jonathan no longer needed their approval. He saw the truth in Micah's eyes. Now he wanted to see the truth behind his own. A month later, Jonathan took a leave from work. They packed their car and drove to Georgia, where his aunt lived, and the family history had gone silent for decades. She greeted them on the porch, arms open, eyes full of tears. "I never thought I'd see the day," she whispered as she held Micah. Inside, she opened dusty, brittle photo albums full of secrets. One photo stopped Jonathan cold. A young man in a pressed vest, strong jaw, broad nose, deep-set eyes. "Who's that?" he asked. His aunt sighed. "Your great-grandfather, Samuel." Jonathan looked from the photo to Micah. Same cheek, same forehead, same intensity. Micah wasn't just his son. He was a mirror to a past they'd erased. In the months that followed, Jonathan and Emily dug deeper. They traced Samuel's roots to a once-thriving black community in Mississippi. They learned about his brilliance, his poetry, how he'd been denied university admission because of his race, even with top scores. They uncovered newspaper clippings, handwritten journals, and a preserved church registry. Emily wept reading a letter from Samuel to his children, urging them to live fully, even if they had to live hidden. But Micah gave them permission to be seen again. When Micah turned 1, Emily and Jonathan hosted a symbolic dedication ceremony, not religious. They stood under a tree in a local park, surrounded by both families. Jonathan read aloud a letter to their son. "You carry the colors of our past and the brilliance of our future. You are not a mistake. You are not a scandal. You are a legacy, the living truth that love remembers what history forgets." Micah began to grow into himself, curious, determined, quick to smile. He loved books, blocks, and old jazz records. Jonathan's aunt gifted them as he grew older. They never hid the truth. They showed him pictures of Samuel, taught him about the strength of those who came before, and celebrated the skin he was born in, the hands that made him, and the heart that held 2 histories in one. Emily returned to teaching part-time. Jonathan published a memoir titled The Baby That Made Me Remember. It became a bestseller, not because it was scandalous, but because it was honest. People reached out from all over the world, some sharing similar stories, others admitting they'd once judged but now understood. When Micah was 5, he asked, "Why did people look sad when I was born?" Emily knelt beside him. "They weren't sad about you, baby. They were sad because they didn't know who they were yet. But you helped us remember." Today, their story is shared in classrooms about identity, legacy, and what it means to be family beyond appearance. Micah, the boy who once shocked the delivery room, now shines on stages, school plays, and storytelling nights. And every time his laughter fills a space, it drowns out generations of silence, because love never needed proof, just a chance to speak. And a little boy with deep brown eyes finally gave it a voice. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more emotional, dramatic, and unexpected tales. And let us know in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? We love hearing from all of you. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching.